Welcome to the Sleeping Barber podcast.
I agree with that.
You've got a marketing moment, which is not a distraction.
So, okay, this one's a little bit unique. Maybe not a traditional case study that we covered, but there's still a lot of key principles here I think that apply to us as marketers holistically. So this one is called, I don't know if you ever saw this. I had never seen this. And I was going through the research yesterday trying to find like a case study to highlight. And this one's called the field trip to Mars. It was back in 2018 is when they did this. Lockheed Martin, a global security and aerospace company, wanted to inspire interest in the Mars exploration and STEM education. Makes it really simple. The brief itself, space was at that time, and I would even argue today, is kind of experiencing a cultural renaissance, right? To rival the excitement of the space race. So you have SpaceX, you have Virgin Galactic, Mars One. Movies at the time were really starting to recapture that general public's imagination in space once again. So it was like an exciting time. I would argue it still is. I'm always fascinated by space, so maybe I'm just an oddball. But it is estimated that humans will set foot on Mars within the next 2 decades, making STEM education more important than ever. So they set out to inspire a new generation of deep space explorers, creating a VR experience that shows them what it's like to visit Mars. So essentially what happened was a bunch of kids got into a bus. This bus was retrofitted, its glass was retrofitted with 4K transparent LCD screens and incorporated like GPS accelerometers and a whole bunch of tech really to kind of simulate a trip to Mars. So once they got in and they started driving, all of a sudden the bus goes dark, these screens come on, and all of a sudden they're like driving in Mars.
That's
so
cool.
It is really, really cool. I don't know if you have a chance to watch the video, but it was really an immersive VR experience that didn't require headsets because everything that we've done to VR to this point really is like your own view.
Personal,
It's more personal. So I have a whole bunch of here, just kind of talks about like what they went into, but let's just talk about the impact. So it generated such an extensive social media reach, if you will, and many key media outlets actually picked this up as well. So NBC, ABC, Fox, Engadget, huge on the tech scene, futurism, even digital trends. They added a lot of fuel to this fire. And it actually was a global trend within 24 hours on Facebook. And it was also, again, featured across all of these different media outlets globally as well. So in a week after its debut, Lockheed Martin saw a 3,000% increase in Mars-related conversations.
Wow.
Post-launch, 260% more interest generated than what was already there from a SpaceX perspective. So this literally, it generated the interest that they wanted. The videos of the experience itself garnered over 6 million views globally. But I think the true outcome here was the demand for the bus itself spawned this like long-term interest. So this bus actually started going on tour. Yeah, so it became almost like their own mini, I guess, almost like sales vehicle in some capacity. So like there's the education piece of this, but then there's also everything else. So there's a few things for me from a key takeaways perspective. Like the educational impact of this, I think, is huge. It was aimed to inspire the next generation of deep space explorers and re-emphasize that importance of STEM and education. Check. The cultural resonance. The campaign resonated culturally in that moment, becoming a trending topic, which obviously, again, added fuel to the fire. Yeah. Overall, it also created this incredible engagement success and the significant increase of conversation around Mars and more mentions than its competitors. So I think from that lens alone, I think one would deem like successful. The information that we don't have, because I still have Roger Martin's words ringing in my ears, just because something goes viral doesn't mean it actually worked. We don't know, did people buy into this STEM education, but what happened actually outside of this just generating more interest in Mars. So I don't know what that looks like. But when we look at it at that 30,000 foot view, I think they had a really clear brief. It was McCann, New York, that executed against this brief. And I think it was able to bring to light some really interesting new way of thinking of how to entice interest in something that's naturally, I think there's a lot of curiosity around it anyway. So
it's a cool story for sure. It made me think, like, as you were talking about that, it made me think of the Sphere in Vegas. Like, so many of these things that are out there capture like attention really quickly, like a huge spike in interest, but then it's not sustained other than through, like, in this case, you talked about that you turned this into a sales tool or a roadshow kind of thing, whether they brought it around, and that's cool. It makes tons of sense. It's a really great idea, but the uniqueness of the idea is part of the thing that captures people's attention, which gets people to generate this desire to share it and all that kind of stuff and share something new, which creates that buzz. But yeah, it would be interesting to know what kind of impact it had long-term on the objectives of the campaign, beside of the just like media reach that they got.
I'll be honest, like, I had never heard of Lockheed Martin before.
Really?
Personally. Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard of the other ones, so like Virgin Galactica, SpaceX, etc.
Yeah.
But this one I hadn't heard of. So for me, did it generate the brand awareness? I don't know. Maybe I wasn't the right target audience at the time anyway. So that's also another thing.
Yeah, that's a thing. Anyway, cool story.